Today, inflation rises again and surpasses expectations. Congratulations, everyone. Alex Jones is ordered to pay nearly $1 billion to Sandy Hook families, and AOC is confronted over her support for Ukraine. We've got all of that and more coming up, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, and today's episode is brought to you by Healthy Cell. They've got a ton of supplements to help you with sleep, focus, or even just a general multivitamin, which I take every single day. It has kept me well and healthy. My whole family loves them. You got to go to healthycell.com/news. Use code NEWS for 20% off of your order over at healthycell.com/news. I am joined today by my good friend who it's been forever. I'm so happy that he is here, Drew Berquist, who is the host of This Is My Show with Drew Berquist, as well as author of The Maverick Experiment. I'm so happy you're here, friend.
It's so good to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's been a while.
It's been too long.
I know.
Far too long.
I know. But he's back along with Pat Gray, host of Pat Gray Unleashed, here at BlazeTV. And, I was going through I keep hitting this thing. I was going through the stories just of what was happening, what was coming out yesterday evening. And I was like, oh boy, we're not going to have a shortage of things to talk about the show tomorrow, because it was like Kanye West, bam, Alex Jones, bam, and then all of this Saudi Arabia stuff, bam. And I was just like, I don't even know if we're going to get to everything that's gone on that I want to talk about. But let's start with the Biden administration urging Saudi Arabia and other OPEC members to delay announcing oil production cuts until after the November midterm elections. Saudi Arabia, of course, we know this because they refused and announced that they would be reducing their oil production, as would their Russian allies. Biden then threatened to withhold congressionally authorized arms sales to Saudi Arabia. And he did actually make this admission during his interview with Jake Tapper. We played a little bit of that yesterday. But he did say Saudi Arabia would face consequences for what they've done with Russia. Let's watch some of that.
Do you think it's time for the U.S. to rethink its relationship with Saudi Arabia?
Yes. And by the way, let's get straight why I went. I didn't go to one about oil. I went about making sure that we made sure that we weren't going to walk away from the Middle East. We should, and I am. In the process, when this House and Senate gets back, they're going to have to. There's going to be some consequences for what they've done with Russia.
What kind of consequences? Menendez says suspend all arms sales. Is that something you'd consider?
I'm not going to get into what I'd consider and what I have in mind, but there will be consequences.
Okay. I love that he squints so small now that like we can barely, when his eyes are level with the screen right here, we can't even see his.
No.
You can't even see his eyes because he's squinted so small. It's all he can do to keep them open. The muscles are not quite there. So a few other things to throw in here. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia responded to Biden's allegations in a statement saying it rejects these statements that are not at all based on facts and which are based on displaying the OPEC decision out of its purely economic context. The decision was taken unanimously by all member states of the OPEC group. The government of Saudi Arabia affirms that any attempts to distort the facts about the kingdom's position regarding the crisis in Ukraine are unfortunate and will not change the kingdom's principled position, including its vote to support UN resolutions regarding the Russia-Ukraine crisis. It's weird because I feel like holding congressionally authorized foreign funding hostage over like a political conflict or coercing a country into behaving according to the wishes of the president was kind of the whole reason that they impeached Donald Trump, or I thought we were supposed to care about quid pro quo.
I was going to say, didn't someone get impeached for that? An alleged conversation and alleged things that happened. This guy says it on national television. No big deal.
But there was quid pro quo.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it was supposed to be the most important thing ever. This is the biggest bombshell. There was quid pro quo, and you're like, yeah, that's not in itself illegal. I don't understand what we're talking. No, but they have said this is a big deal. I hesitate to think that we're actually going to see anything come of this, though.
No, of course not. Well, first of all, we don't have control of anything. Biden's not going to impeach himself. The Democrats aren't going to impeach him. And by the way, have you ever heard since that time and up until now quid pro quo thrown around so much? Like it's like a common term now. Like everyone talks about it. I don't think everyone knows exactly what it means, but everyone says it. Like people are getting tattoos of it. It's just a thing now. But no, I don't think we're going to see anything of it. But it is remarkable just how this game is played by them. Like we can say this, we can get away with it because we hate you. We think you're stupid, and we're just going to keep playing our game. And that's what they do. I mean, regardless, every story I'm sure we're going to talk about today, there are going to be themes and trends of them just saying, yeah, we get that it's obvious what we're doing, but we don't care.
Yeah.
Like, we don't care.
The arrogance
It's
associated
so
with
arrogant.
that. It is, Pat.
I love how he didn't go over there for oil. Oh, don't think that I got denied because I wasn't there. I was making sure they're not going to walk away from the Middle East. What? How does Saudi Arabia walk away from? They are the Middle East.
Exactly.
They're just going to pick up their land and go somewhere else.
Yeah, we're going to take our toys and go to Canada now. Are you? Okay. It's amazing. And wasn't he the guy who was going to restore our relationships with our allies and put fear back in the hearts and minds of our enemies? And I don't know what you call Saudi Arabia, a frenemy maybe, but they give him the finger. As soon as he comes over there to beg for them not to do anything before the election, they tell him to go pound sand.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
It does get kind of scary too, because it's not just Saudi Arabia. I mean, how long ago was it that China? They met in, where was it, Alaska? And China was like, yeah, you're not here with a position of power.
Right. We're not taking you seriously anymore.
Yeah.
But again, he was the great unifier, right? He was going to be the great unifier here. He was going to scare our enemies. America was going to be back.
Yeah.
You know, he said yesterday, I think you talked about it on your show yesterday too, how look at all that I've done. It's like you've done a lot. It ain't good though. Like, I mean, you are a record setter, but you are breaking all of the wrong records.
All the wrong ones.
And you are embarrassing all of us.
Yeah,
So bad.
Do you remember when CNN said that they were excited to have a presidency that was going to be boring? It was going to be a boring presidency, and they couldn't wait for that. Oh, boy, the last 2 years have been anything but, let me just tell you. So I want to move to inflation. The Consumer Price Index rose 8.2% between September 2021 and then September 2022, according to a new report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The month-to-month increase of 0.4% exceeded analysis forecasts, while core inflation, which factors, the more volatile food and energy categories, reached 0.6% against, of course, an estimate of 0.4%. So again, congratulations. He is breaking all the wrong records here. Pat's slow.
Yeah.
Clapping for him. Despite energy costs falling in some categories, a 0.8% surge in food prices and 0.7% increase in shelter prices contributed to this overall number. And the Dow Jones Industrial Index fell 1.7% as trading began this morning, while the NASDAQ and S&P 500 fell 3% and 2.2% respectively. I guess you can see why Joe Biden's asking for the quid pro quo, right? He sees everything else around him. He's like, I've got nothing. I'm a sinking ship. Guys, could you please just cover for me here?
Right. Yeah, we've got elections coming up. I mean, again, the fact that they're doing this so blatantly, and I love that the Saudis pushed back and said, not only no, but hell no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
But I love how blatant it is right ahead of the elections. You know, they know they need that win. But I also love every time that this comes up and they're talking about the economy and the inflation, how you inevitably hear him and KJP and all these people saying how, don't worry though, we think that we're in a really strong position. Like, how could you ever say that we're in a strong, and again, I get it. You change all of your definitions all the time. Everything means something different now. So that's just the game that we're playing. But they always say that, and they always mention the word transition too. We're in a strong position as we make this economic transition. It's like, hold on, can you stop? Actually, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what that means. Describe the transition,
right.
But we never get any further feedback on that.
Yeah, no, it's a great point for everything too,
Everything.
right? The economy, for green energy,
Yep.
all the climate change stuff. It's always like, well, we would expect some sort of, there's going to be a little bit of pain as we transition over to this new normal. It's like, what? I didn't get a vote on that.
Right.
Can I vote on whether I want this to be the new normal?
Right.
Yeah. I think they really believe they can make people believe they're bull crap.
Yeah.
that they're doing better than they think they are. Hey, you're doing really well. Stop your whining. You're doing great. The economy's in really good shape. Your wages are going up.
Don't believe your
Gas
lion
prices
eyes.
are going down. Don't
Please.
listen to the MAGA Republicans.
No.
Yeah.
Your grocery store receipts.
Yep.
Please.
You're eating too much, probably. So stop it.
Right.
Cut back a little bit. You're a bunch of slobs. Calm down.
Well, it's literally like a Jedi mind trick. Like,
It is.
It's like,
It is.
Yeah.
These
Well-
are not the droids you're looking
Right.
for. These aren't the prices that are going up.
right.
Yeah, it's also, Pat, to your point, they have the media carrying the water for them in that regard, because we've
Yeah.
seen all of the pieces that are like, well, here's why food shortages are going to be a good thing for America, and it's like,
Right.
wait, what?
Right.
What?
Was
No.
it Bernie Sanders who said a couple of years ago, food lines are a good thing? At least you got food, and there's a line for it.
Right.
So that's good.
Yeah, I think one that I saw was like, well, maybe Americans shouldn't expect to just constantly have AC in all their houses. It's like, but
Yeah.
no,
No.
that's kind of the point of like living in a first world country, is that you don't have to worry about things like food and shelter and
Exactly.
air conditioner. And they're trying to reset those expectations so
Right.
that you're not upset with the Biden administration. It's a really bizarre thing to watch. Speaking of Joe Biden, while we're on the topic, so he was in Colorado yesterday, and it was interesting moment here where he pivoted from a story about how soldiers who trained at Camp Hale, Colorado, learned to ski and scale rock formations, to mentioning his late son, Bo, who he also claimed once again died in Iraq. Watch.
American soldiers of the 10th Mountain Division scaled that 1,800-foot cliff at night, caught the Germans by surprise, captured key positions, and broke through the German defense line at a pivotal point in the war. Just imagine, I mean it sincerely, I say this as a father of a man who won the Bronze Star, the Conspicuous Service Medal, and lost his life in Iraq.
No.
He didn't, though. That's the thing. And I know that we could blame dementia on this, but that's not the first time he's said it.
He's done it multiple times.
He's done it multiple times. And just for reference, I looked this up last night. So I believe that Bo had not been active duty at all since like 2009. And then he died of the brain tumor in 2015. So that's like quite a big span there. It's not like he had just gotten back and he got his wires mixed up. Like, this is legitimately, I would say, I'd love to hear your thoughts, I would say legitimately something that he's continued to try to use for clout.
100%.
Which is like so crazy, like disgusting.
It is.
Because it didn't
It
even
is.
happen.
Yeah.
But I think one, he doesn't know where he is right now.
Right.
But two, I think he plays this, I'm the old grandpa, which I'm hoping you don't, look at all the weird and sick things I do as an old grandpa.
Yeah.
But I think he uses this because it's like, okay, if you attack this, if you question me on this, you're talking like you're making light of my son's death. Like, no one's doing that. We're just calling you on what you're saying because he did not die there. He served in the Guard. Thank you for serving.
Yeah.
He went over to Iraq. Thank you for going to Iraq. You came back, and way after that, you passed away from a brain tumor. And again, no one's celebrating that. Maybe some people, but we're just saying that you're absolutely wrong, and this is and he always. I mean, I'd love to see a graph actually on how many speeches or talks he's given where he mentions his late son Bo.
Yeah.
I'm starting to talk like Joe Biden.
I was going to say he's rubbing off on you.
Exactly. Maybe he is, but I mean, it's all the time.
Yeah.
Like, he always referenced that, but you can't. And I know you do, and I do, and you probably do. But like, I question it all the time. Like, oh, hold up, no, we're not doing this.
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's so gross.
Yeah, I don't know if he's trying to. He seems to try to occasionally tie it into the burn pits that some soldiers were next to, and maybe that contributed to his cancer. I don't know.
He legitimately said he
But
died
he
in
said
Iraq.
he died in Iraq.
In Iraq.
Yeah.
It's just a flat out lie. And he lies every day. And it's just so fatiguing. I'm so tired of it.
Yeah.
Everybody in the mainstream media talked about how often Donald Trump lied. And I think the New York Times credited him, or maybe it was the Post, with 35,000 lies. I mean, I wish somebody would count up the lies this guy has told, because he's a much bigger liar than Trump ever was.
Well, they pretend like they do whenever they do a fact check, and they're like, well, we're actually rating this as true because we understand what he meant to say.
Well, and it's folksy. He's just telling folksy stories.
Right.
New York Times just tried to excuse it all by saying it was folk stories that sometimes get exaggerated. No, these are lies. They're flat out lies.
Yeah, it's interesting how they try to, cover for the president whenever it's the right president for them to cover for. All right, we got more to come, but first we want to thank our sponsor, ExpressVPN. So have you ever stopped to wonder why internet access is so much cheaper these days? You can get it for like $30-$40 a month. It is because ISPs, internet service providers, aren't just making money off of your subscription fees. They're getting way more than that $30 a month. They're also making money from spying on your internet activity. Yep. And they're going to sell that history and data to big tech companies. That is why you need ExpressVPN. They're going to create a secure tunnel between all of your devices and the internet, so everything you do is encrypted online. It will reroute your connection through a secure server. This blocks your ISP from seeing everything that you do online. And I get it, you guys. You guys are like, well, I'm not doing anything nefarious online. I don't have anything to hide. But these people are profiting off of your data, and it's still your data. Don't let these big tech companies take advantage of it. ExpressVPN can protect you, whatever device you have, tablet, phone, TV, smart TV, whatever it is, they can protect you over at expressvpn.com/y. You will get 3 extra months of ExpressVPN protection for free. It's expressvpn.com/y. See, Joe's rubbing off on me too. expressvpn.com/y. Yesterday, a Connecticut jury ordered Alex Jones to pay $965 million to the families of Sandy Hook victims. This was the second defamation trial that Alex Jones had taken on. Families of the victims said that Alex Jones profited off of their suffering, amassing tens of millions of dollars by repeating the lies that Sandy Hook was not real. Each of the plaintiffs was awarded a different amount for defamation and personal damages, but all were awarded tens of millions of dollars. And then this is, of course, as I mentioned, the second one. The first one was in Austin, Texas, where the jury ordered him to pay $49.3 million to the other parents of Sandy Hook children in a defamation trial that was completely separate. By the way, is not over. He's facing a third defamation trial in Texas that's going to begin at the end of the year. He was not present while the verdict was read, but he did react in real time over on InfoWars. Let's watch.
They want to scare everybody away from freedom and scare us away from questioning Uvalde and what really happened there, or Parkland or any other event. And guess what? We're not scared, and we're not going away, and we're not going to stop. And literally, for hundreds of thousands of dollars, I can keep them in court for years. I can appeal this stuff. We can stand up against this travesty, against the billions of dollars they want. It's a joke.
Listen, you can maybe not agree with everything that he's done and said, but he's not wrong.
No. Well, and this should terrify everyone. It should terrify everyone at this table in particular who talks about this stuff every day. Maybe we take a different stance or tone than Alex Jones does, but it just this is scary. Like everything in this world is scary, like we were talking about off camera. But like this is really scary.
$965 million, almost $1 billion.
I don't have that much money.
Well, I mean, it's just like
neither does he.
Neither does he. Yeah.
Nor were these damages worth that much,
No.
which is why he's saying this is sending a message.
Well, and frankly, the amount could be $50,000, and the result would still be the same. This is terrifying, and it's not okay. That's not who we are. You're allowed to say. You can say stupid stuff, and I'm not saying everything he says is stupid. I disagree with a lot of things he said, but you can say it. That's what's great. You know what? That's why I fought for this country, is so you can do you do you. Everyone just do you. Yeah. But that's a scary thing.
It really is, Pat.
I think most people know I'm not a big Alex Jones fan.
Yeah.
That's an understatement. He has called this a CIA substation. He has accused Glenn Beck of being part of the Obama administration. I mean, he's said some goofy stuff over the years. And, you know, he's maybe the father of the 9/11 truther stuff. Yeah. But this is all based on emotion. What did they do at the trial? Did they prove he did anything wrong other than speak his mind? No, they didn't. They talked about what happened to the families, and it's tragic and it's terrible. And, when you talk about somebody going up to the son's grave and peeing on a 7-year-old's grave, despicable and inhuman.
Yeah.
But arrest that guy,
Right.
convict that guy. Alex Jones didn't tell him to do that. Alex Jones didn't tell people to call him and make rape threats and all of those things. Alex Jones has the First Amendment to back him and to protect him. How does this even happen in America?
Yeah.
It's really, really frightening, terrifying.
I think that the reason it is so frightening to me is because it's happening at a time where we have all of these other encroachments, I would say, going on. You have all of these pro-life activists that are getting raided by the FBI and arrested without warning, without provocation, and oftentimes after their lawyers have been trying to correspond with the FBI and cooperate. And, you have all of these things happening, and it just it really does feel like they're trying to send a message to us that you will not question the regime, you will not question the government narrative, and if you do, you will pay dearly.
And look what they've already done to him. They've already shut him down on YouTube and shut down his websites other than InfoWars. I mean, they've just made him communicate from one little place now that he has. Yeah. And they're trying to take that away from him, too. They're trying to bankrupt him.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So to add to that, just because we're talking about all of the ways that they're trying to squeeze you if you don't go along with the narrative, and perhaps people who say things that you don't always agree with, but they have the right to say them, and they also have the right to any sort of repercussions that come with that, consequences, personally or societally that come with that. Kanye West, he's going to have to find a new bank right now because after having his Instagram and Twitter accounts suspended for threatening to go, quote, DEFCON 3 on Jewish people, JP Morgan Bank closed Kanye's accounts. He was sent a letter from the bank advising him to transfer to another financial institution as they will be closing his accounts and mailing him a check for the balance. Candace Owens was the one who tweeted this out. No reason was given for this closure. And again, I saw the tweet. It was egregious. I can't say that enough. It came out of left field. I've never been a person, if you watch this program often, I've never been a person to be like, oh, that guy wore a red hat. We should definitely be his best friend and go along with everything that he says. I don't trust Kanye. I think maybe he's right on free speech. He also seems kind of crazy. I appreciate him trying to elevate black culture in the way that he did. And then he goes off and says something like this. And you're like, well, I mean, that's gross. But people are allowed to be gross and jerks and even racists and homophobes and all of these things. You're supposed to be allowed to do that and not have your entire life try to be taken from you. Yeah.
No, I think Kanye is a hot mess. But again, this is a terrifying move. We saw the same thing happen with Lindell and his bank accounts. It's like, you don't have to like everyone. You don't have to agree. In fact, you shouldn't agree with everything that everyone says. But this is America. This is not how this works. And I've never understood this with companies, whether it's big tech, and YouTube has crushed us on our side, and I'm sure everyone's felt these different things. We've had to fire people over that. And it's like, why would you not, whether you're a bank or a big tech legacy platform, why wouldn't you want to make more money? Yep. I've just not understood that. I disagree with a lot of stuff too, but hey, this is a great opportunity. You know what? Let's do it.
It's like PayPal.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Same thing. But this is it's the same kind of a thing. It's a warning. Like we talked about the last story, from if you do not agree with our narrative, our agenda, if you're not a part of the transition that we're making here and doing what the regime says, you will pay a price. And there's so many people right now who always say, yeah, but he crossed the line. He went past this. Or this person, Alex Jones, is an extremist. Yeah, but you know what? You at some point will be on the wrong end of this. You could be living in, a rural town in Kansas who doesn't do anything to do with, everyone loses if this regime continues down this path. And that, I wish people would get that.
Feels a lot like ESG, Pat.
Yeah, it really does.
Right?
Yeah.
And the only way to combat it, I think, is to play their game. I'm not a big boycott guy.
Yeah.
But if Chase Bank J.P. Morgan Chase lost a whole buttload of conservatives' business. If everybody just withdrew their money from the bank in response to what they're doing to Kanye, even though we don't agree with what he said necessarily about Jews, even though we don't agree with everything he said, then that would make these companies think twice. The only way that they're going to stop this is if we hit them in the pocketbook. That's the only way.
I agree. It'll be interesting to see if that happens. I know, PayPal obviously felt it.
Yeah, they did. And they backed off very quickly.
Right.
Very
exactly.
quickly.
I think conservatives often forget that there's a lot of power that you give up in just going, well, there's nothing else I can do.
Right.
No, there always is. You can find a way. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Keeps. So, 2 out of 3 guys experience hair loss before they're 35. You don't want to gamble with your hair. You can flip the odds in your favor and save your hair with Keeps. Drew's like, it's true. It's true.
It just is.
It is. See, Drew wishes that he had Keeps, okay? Because it's clinically proven, FDA-approved hair loss treatments that are all available online. You do it from the comfort of your home. You take a couple pictures. You send it in. A doctor reviews everything, and they're going to send you the right hair loss treatment for you. And it's the generic version, so it's going to save you a ton of money. You're not going to have to go to a doctor's office, sit in a waiting room, anything like that. They deliver it directly to your door. You can message your Keeps doctor along the way 24/7. You've got to try it. I believe it's like 66% of men who take Keeps actually experience a regrowth of hair. Our own Jason Buttrell did as well before he shaved it all off. So you got to go to keeps.com/Y for 50% off of your order. That is KEEPS.com/Y, keeps.com/Y. Yesterday, AOC, good friend of the program, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, hosted a Q&A during a town hall event, and she was confronted by 2 protesters and former supporters of hers who accused her of funding nuclear war and becoming part of the establishment. This is like the most beautiful thing you will see today. Watch.
Congresswoman, none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war, which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Tulsi Gabbard, she's left the Democratic Party because they're a bunch of war hawks, okay? You originally voted, you ran as an outsider, yet you've been voting to start this war in Ukraine. You're voting to start a thermonuclear war with Russia and China. Why are you playing with the lives of American citizens? You're playing with our lives.
There will be no neighbors if there's a nuclear bomb. You voted to mobilize and send money to Ukrainian Nazis. You're a coward. You're a progressive socialist. Where are you against the war mobilization? He's telling the right truth. You have done nothing. Tulsi Gabbard has shown guts where you've shown cowardice. I believed in you, and you became the very thing you sought to fight against. That's what you've become. You are the establishment, and you are the reason why everybody will end up in a nuclear war unless you choose to stand up right now and denounce the Democratic Party.
Spoiler alert.
Wow.
She did not choose to stand up right then and denounce the Democrat Party. Just as a refresher, back in May, she did vote in favor of sending $40 billion in military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine. And she has also introduced legislation seeking to provide debt relief to Ukrainians and coordinate debt payments amid
Which is voting for nuclear war, I guess.
Hey, you know what? I'll let them have it. Okay?
I know.
Just go yell at her, eat your own.
Yes.
I am eating all of the popcorn, enjoying every second of it.
Me too. I mean, they're butt stupid. They're as dumb as she is. But it's great to see liberals eat their own.
Yeah.
I love it. And socialists, I mean, he's yelling about Ukrainian socialists. He's a freaking socialist.
Yeah.
Do you know that Nazi stands for National Socialist? Dumbass. Come on. I mean, and where are they getting this Ukrainian Nazi thing? Directly from Vladimir Putin? Oh,
I never thought I'd have to give it to you.
Okay, I was just talking
There's
about
nothing
donkeys.
in it, and you can't get it off. It's fine.
It's an animal. No, it's remarkable. We've all along said, I mean, the only people that are dumber than AOC are her followers, who are they are passionate. I will give her that. Like, she's got a crew.
Okay, but did you see how empty that
was empty. That's true. That's fair point.
So I'm wondering.
amazing.
And there was
It's
people
waning.
clapping for what they were saying too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that
Yeah.
support is waning.
It could be.
Because I know at the beginning
She
I
needs
agree
to
with you.
dance more. Like, get back on the rooftop and dance.
Yeah, I agree with you that she did have a cult following, and certainly she does. To your point, she does on Twitter,
Right.
Like she does on social media.
Yeah.
But I have to wonder if her actual constituents are getting real tired of this. Like, oh, I'm going to go on social media and provide these little clapbacks and make myself look cute, and then in turn do nothing to represent my actual constituents. And by the way, Drew, you asked before we started taping here this segment. She has not said anything about it on Twitter. Nothing.
Interesting.
She is not. She's tweeted about lots of other things.
But mum's the word. I'm not getting into. Okay. Well,
Right.
We'll get something at some point. Maybe we won't. I don't know. Everything's changed. And you're right. She's had seemingly less support. She's been a failure in Congress, according to congressional records and her actual performance. No surprise there. But it was just glorious. It was glorious to see it happen.
It was.
And I hope it happens more. And look, today I know we're going to talk about Zelensky here coming up. She voted to send that money over, and you saw the wish list that came out today. I don't remember the numbers, but like literally it's like Elon Musk money that Zelensky's asking for. And all these people, they're going to, we are going to send it, most likely. So,
yeah, we are. I mean, we just sent $12 billion.
Yeah.
Right? They just did another $12 billion. We're up to, I don't know, $80 billion now. And then after the $12 billion bill passed, then they said, we're going to send another $600 million too. What the hell?
Yeah.
Why didn't the $12 billion cover that? How much are we going to send over there? It's really time to sit back and do a little reassessment, I think, of our commitment to Ukraine. But Biden says we're in it till the end.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how that plays off in November in the midterms. So speaking of Ukraine, there's been a video that's been circulating around lately showing how green screens were used for Zelensky to appear as a hologram at the Paris Viva Tech conference in France, where he, of course, pleaded for aid from big tech firms. Watch.
There's two different types of hologram that we're going to be making. Quiet, please, everybody. We're going to go for take now.
Hologram director.
Here we go, and action.
Even now, as the war is raging, we continue the digital transformation of our state.
Wow.
We need to use next generation technologies. We need to make it feel like he's more in the room.
This is fascinating. It's really amazing. He also shot the cover of Vogue,
right?
Which is always something you do when you're in the middle of a very, very important war. And it's just incredible how much time Zelensky has on his hands to film all these things and do all these photo shoots and ask for more money while he leads us into World War III.
Yeah.
That's great.
No.
Really
literally
happy
some
about
of his glamour shots look like the old Calvin Klein ads, like him and his wife posing. Like, not all of them are black and white like the Calvin Klein ones were, but you get that sense, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? But again, with the wish list and everything, and I can, I can and can't tell you, like, on the covert side of how things are working there and what we are doing behind the scenes, because I've done it other places.
Yeah.
It's like, in this case, why are we going this hard to the hoop on this? The consequences are so massive, and it's a weird thing for me, because with my previous thing, anytime there was a new opportunity for war, I'm screwed up, like all of my colleagues are. It's like, yeah, let's do it. Like, do we know why? No, who cares? Let's go, grab your stuff. Like, but this one, it's like, no, and it's a weird feeling to be that way, because I've literally never felt that way.
Well, it's probably because it just look, I don't have the military experience you do, but even just looking at all of this, it's like it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. And I'm not saying it's fake. I'm not saying that there's not a war going on, but it's like, what person do you know who is in charge of a country who is in a very, very important, deadly war has time to do all of these things? You have Nancy Pelosi flying in at the beginning of it. You have U2, like all of these very important people are going into what we're told is like the war zone.
Right.
They're not going to do that. They're not going to.
Don't you remember the photo shoot Churchill did back in the early 40s?
No.
He and FDR did an amazing black and white photo shoot. It was beautiful.
Really?
No, because we've never seen anything like this.
Right.
You know, and the celebrity status
so
that he's
glamorized.
achieved in Hollywood now. I mean, everybody loves this guy. Why all of a sudden they've gone from the most corrupt government on earth to this celebrity status that they can do no wrong? They're practically worshipped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
It's creepy.
So I feel like, to your credit, Drew, I feel like that's going to make anyone give pause, right? It's like this doesn't seem
Well,
right.
and we're
It's
also
adding
tired
up.
of it.
We're tired of
tired
it.
of going into everybody's conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well, the
am.
stakes are so high here too. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Here's what could happen if we go further with this. Which, by the way, it doesn't seem like we're going to stop, and it doesn't seem like any of the people on the other side are going to stop. So here's what could happen, and none of them are good scenarios. And there's still people like, yep, you know what? Let's give them more money. Let's send more of our people over there, because I could tell you that we have people over there. Like, they're having those. It's like when you see an awful commercial, and everyone is sat around the table, and someone had to be like, let's do it. Let's run this. Like, everyone is sitting around like, here are the possible hiccups. But let's go with it. Let's just
nuclear war is a possible hiccup.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
That's a pretty big hiccup.
It's a big hiccup.
Yeah.
All right. We've got more to come, but we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Yesterday, the FDA authorized the new Pfizer COVID booster for children aged 5 and older and the Moderna booster for children aged 6 and older. Following the FDA's awesome announcement, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention also authorized the expanded use, and director Dr. Rochelle Walensky, who absolutely belongs in prison, signed off on the decision memo. The updated booster is, of course, supposed to protect against the very, very scary Omicron subvariants, which account for, of course, the majority of COVID-19 infections in the United States right now. Just as a reminder, these are the boosters that were tested on 8 mice and 0 humans. So definitely want to inject your children with these. And I'm just going to say it. If you hear this information and you still choose to put this in your child, you deserve to have your children taken from you. And I do mean that with all due respect. True.
No, I agree. I mean, look, there is no data on any of these shots anywhere that should encourage you to actually go and do this. And it's become I don't know how it is here, but it's, you know, I'm in the free state of Florida. We've both got great states going for us, and thank God things have been different there. But like, even so, like, you know, getting waivers and stuff like that, and getting some of the looks that you get from people when, like, oh, did they get their booster? Like, no, because they didn't even get the vaccine. Like, we didn't get any of it. And the judgment that you get from them, but it's like, people, you're saying what your television host on CNN or MSNBC said, following the science, but they didn't follow the science. You're not following the science. No one is paying attention to any of this data, and if you did, you'd be running for the hills, and or you would not be putting it in your kids, because you should. It's ridiculous, and I know, we all know lots of people who have done it, and it gives you like, it's like, man, you end up being like, I am praying that these high numbers of points of failure and the ramifications of getting these things don't affect the people that I know and love that got it, because it's like, what were you thinking?
I know.
You weren't.
No, no, you were letting the government instill fear into you and just acting accordingly. And I would also say, too, they've just co-opted the word science, because you mentioned science, and we just heard what they would say, like, oh, well, they said we're following the science, so we're following the science. And then you have, the CDC director saying, like, well, the data shows, or the science shows. You have Dr. Fauci saying, well, the science shows, but then it's conveniently, they never actually give you the data. Right. And then, of course, you have Pfizer representatives going on. Just the other day, we had this on our show, going out and saying, well, we never actually studied the impact that this vaccine had on transmission, because we were moving at the speed of science. And that's not.
So we got lied to from the very beginning.
What that means. You don't just say the word science and think that it's science.
Right. And do you remember, Pfizer said from the beginning it was 95% effective.
Yep.
They had nothing to back that up.
Yep. Right.
Nothing.
Yep. Right.
And then it just came out this week, they claimed 100% efficacy in South Africa or someplace. Well, and then it's actually goes into the populace, and it immediately drops into the 80s. Then it's the 70s. Then it's into the 60% effective. Pretty soon it's 50%. Then it's 38. Then it's about the same whether you get it or not. So if I don't have the vaccine, I have the same chance of getting it as the people who did. Okay, I'm going to say no to that then.
Yeah. Well, especially because, again, this particular vaccine is for the Omicron variant. Now,
and that's not even, it's like a cold.
That's right. So even if you were going to say, well, it might be scary, the original strain might be scary. Well, it's not for kids, okay, right? Well, Omicron is way weaker than even the original strain. So imagine the impact that's going to have on children, but you want to inject them with a substance that has been tested in literally zero humans.
Zero humans, yeah.
Why?
It blows my mind.
Well, and I don't get to why people don't have questions with, the figures and the data around the efficacy of this thing has been not positive or encouraging the whole time from the very get-go. But then the fact that you have to get booster after booster, now it's time for your fourth booster, your fifth booster, like you need to do this or else, I'm obviously, as you guys probably know, not a scientist, but on its surface, it's like, okay, that kind of just raises my alarm because, if this thing works, why does it not work? And we have to get all of these shots over and over. I mean, some of these family members and loved ones that I know that got it. It's like, what did you do today? Well, I got this. Like, how many of those have you gotten? I don't know. We've done so many. We forgot. It's absolutely ludicrous. Yeah. And again, if we question it or talk about it,
conspiracy.
Yeah. You can't talk about the election or COVID. That was what we were all told in 2020, or your episode's going to be shut down. It's like, well, what the hell do we talk about then?
Right. Right. And just, I know we got to take a quick break here in a second, but just to go along with this, the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force issued new guidance which recommends all American children over the age of 8 be screened for anxiety, even if they don't have any symptoms. And they think that cases are going undiagnosed because of a shortage in physicians and a spike in mental health problems following the pandemic. So they're injecting your children with substances they don't know what will happen or what problems they will cause in your children. They're also using this to funnel more money to Big Pharma because they're going to prescribe your children Xanax, Clomipene, Valium, just a whole bunch of benzodiazepines just because they're going to say, oh, look, they have anxiety from this pandemic that we created and didn't have to.
Right.
All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back.
Yeah, that's good.
Speaking of Big Pharma, during a debate, Democrat Minnesota Representative Angie Craig said she stands against her constituents and for Big Pharma. And you know what? These days, I'm not really sure if she misspoke or not. Watch.
I will never stop standing up for Big Pharma and standing against my constituents.
Thank you, Angie.
What? Wait, what? She said that with conviction.
So sure of herself.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So sure of herself. Did you see Control Room? I want to see the guy. His face.
His face is priceless.
It is.
It's amazing.
Like, wait, what?
It's like, yep. I'm gonna have this one in the bag. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. But really, I mean, that's why it's like she could have been serious. I don't know. Democrats are really big fans of Big Pharma right now.
They do seem to love Big Pharma now. Yeah. They love Pfizer. They love Moderna. They love Johnson & Johnson.
Which is confusing because Joe said we beat Big Pharma. I thought this was over, right? Didn't he just say that a couple weeks ago? But no, I mean, look, Freudian slip. Well, history indicates, or recent history at least indicates, that's literally what your beliefs are.
Right.
You you probably did not mean to say that, and your staff, as you came off the stage, was like, what did you just do? But that's who you are.
I know.
You can't hide it. If there's water in a water bottle, you shake the water bottle, water's gonna come out. You just shared with the world who you are.
I watched the clip and I'm like, we know. Yeah, we know. We got 15 seconds. Drew, tell everyone where they can find Joe.
All the major platforms, YouTube, if you can find it, Facebook, Rumble is where we're trying to move the audience. So just search Drew Berquist, you'll find it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.